Shemel Shah. Yahweh Shemel Shah. Barakatah Yahweh Shah. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. You got to remember, brothers, sisters, dealing with the brothers mainly because, we're the teachers, that we're about to enter into greatness, into glory.
Let my soul bless Yahweh, the great King. For Jerusalem shall be built up with sapphires and emeralds and precious stones, thy walls and towers and battlements with pure gold. And the streets of Jerusalem shall be paved with beryl and carbuncle and stones of Ophir. And all her streets shall say, Hallelujah. And they shall praise him, saying, Blessed be Yahweh, which hath extolled it forever.
The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. And I will make the place of my feet glorious. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee. And all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings. And thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God thy glory.
Boring office party?
F it.
Fireball, free or fire.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shah Ba'Hashem Kabadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS whom rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing, salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shah. All right, and what I want to get into this morning in the spirit, okay, the Wadi Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shah, for giving me the inspiration to do this lesson. All right, we're going to go into some history dealing with 70 AD. You know, we talk about it often, okay, within the ministry. And we know it's pretty much a pivotal point, you know, within our history to where we was ran, all right, out of Judea. And we ended up scattered, you know, and mainly in the northern, all right, in the western parts, okay, of Africa, where eventually, you know, we was taken away, you know, and brought over here to the Western Hemisphere. there's always a reference point, that we started when we explain how we made it here to the Americas. Okay, first how we ended up in Africa. Okay, then how we ended up in the Western Hemisphere. All right, from Africa, man. Okay, we usually go to seven. We use the reference points of 70 AD. And the precepts to back it up. So I thought it'd be good if we kind of went into the events that happened, the actual battles that took place, all right, between Israel, all right, the Southern Kingdom mainly, and the Roman legions. So we'll get into it. And if a brother could put Genesis 27 and 41, okay, and let's get that in Sirach 33. How good it said against evil. Okay, I think there's 33 and around about the 14th verse. Okay, because people look at the conflict between Jacob and Esau. All right, they look at it as black people and white people. No, all right, is the lineage of Esau versus the lineage of Jacob. Okay, two nations in the womb. Brother can get that as well. Genesis 25. Okay, and I'm gonna cue up this video. I'll leave Genesis 25, 21. But I'm gonna cue up the video, and let's say we just get into some history, man. Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters are edified. Okay, so got him queued up. All right, the water, brother. Shalom to you, Akim, Watim. All right, this the brother beyond Yashala. All right, Genesis 27 and 41. It says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing. That's another thing. This rivalry between Jacob and Esau is centered around the blessing, the birthright, okay, which in the spirit belonged to Jacob, all right, but the Most High set it up for the sake, all right, of drama, okay, and pretty much conflict. Esau was the firstborn, and the birthright, all right, traditionally goes to the firstborn, okay. But the Most High pretty much had Jacob to supplant Esau of the birthright and the blessing, okay. And that's where you see major conflict and see what we're seeing Esau Edom do now. He's trying to make his own birthright, and he just feel like he's just gonna wipe away Israel and make his own birthright. He's gonna make his own immortality. He's gonna continue to have the fatness of the earth eternally. Okay, that's a conflict that we're seeing playing out, and it happens in spurts. Jacob and Esau have been clashing, all right, throughout history, all right, and now this is the final clash, and this time Yahushua will show up and intervene in a major way. Okay, but going back to it, this is Genesis 27 and 41. It says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him, and Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father, all right, are at hand, okay, which was Isaac. And then will I slay my brother Jacob? And this has been his mindset. This has been the energy, okay, of Esau Edom, all right, since this time. Okay. He always had a mindset to destroy, all right, us as a people. Okay. You go into the times of Haman, okay, the time of during the Persian Empire. Okay, Haman wanted to eradicate all the Jews. Okay. He was persuading, okay, Xerxes, the Persian king, to pretty much eradicate all the Jews, man. Okay, all the Israelites. You see, then you have Antiochus Epiphanes. Okay, he just went through slaughtering Jake for keeping the law. Okay, that's where you get the Maccabean revolt. Then you had the time we're finna go into 70 AD, where they eradicated Judea. Okay, through force. Now, and this is an ancient rivalry, man. And now we're in the peak we're in the climax of that ancient rivalry of Jacob and Esau. Now this is Sirach 33 and 14. It says, good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. Okay, because as the remnant, the house of David has been risen. We want a righteous earth. You know, Esau wants a wicked empire. So now there's a conflict. There's a clash. Good is set against evil. We want to see the earth, all right, in its righteous order. We want to see, all right, a righteous judgment going forth in the earth. We want to see wickedness eradicated. Esau wants to see righteousness eradicated, man. Okay? And that's what the major conflict is coming in at, man. Okay? But it all started in the womb. Okay? Let's going back to Genesis, to the origin of this, man. This is brother Beyond Yashala, Genesis 25 and 21. It says, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him. All right, Rebekah, his wife, conceived. Okay, so she was able to what? Bear seed of Isaac. All right. It says, and the children struggled together within her. She said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord, and the children struggled together, which means they was actually in conflict in the womb. Okay. And it says, verse 23, it says, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. Okay. One people shall be stronger than the other, and that's Jake. And we're going to show that Jake, all right, is stronger in every way. It's going to show when we go into the documentary. Okay. But it's all up to the Lord when it comes to prophecy, who prevails, in situation. It says, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger, which Esau was the elder. And we in the time where this prophecy is going to be fulfilled when he's going to serve the younger in our kingdom before he's eradicated. Okay, that wicked seed is going to be eradicated out of the earth. What he's been trying to do to us, all right, for since we've been on the earth, these 2 nations have been on the earth. Okay, we're going to get to do to him in the kingdom, which is completely eradicate the seed line of Esau, Edom, man. Okay, it's Isaiah 14 and 21. All right, now, that was it. I go, yeah, I go. Yep. So I want to go to the documentary. I thought it was pretty informative. You know how we do. So we'll go through it, get precepts, mainly let it play, pretty informative, good documentary. I was watching this morning, and Lord will, brothers, all right, and your sisters are edified, and informed, So we talk about these things all the time, but I think it'd be good, to just kind of go in depth into it. All right.
In spring of the year 70 CE, Titus marches his legions from the coastal plain to Jerusalem. He's boiling with anger. It has been 4 years, and the Roman army has not succeeded in suppressing the stubborn revolt that broke out in Judea. The Jews fight courageously for every piece of land. Even the esteemed commander Vespasian, Titus' father, could not defeat them. Now, after his father's appointment to emperor, it's Titus' turn to manage the campaign. He commands the most powerful war machine in the world, tens of thousands of trained legionnaires equipped with advanced weapons, sophisticated breaching tools, and lethal artillery. Against the mighty Roman army stands a small force of fighters who will fight for their freedom until their last drop of blood. The final battle of the Great Revolt against Rome begins.
You see this Roman, all right, military, this Roman Empire was prophesied in the book of Daniel. Okay, they tell you how they was equipped, with their weaponry and siege weapons, advanced, weaponry. All right, there's always been Esau's advantage in the earth. It's his weaponry. Okay, if a brother can post it real quick. Daniel 7:7. Okay, just to show you this is what Jake was going against. Jake was going against Daniel 7:7, man. All right. One thing about it, you can't go against prophecy. You gotta go with it. And you go against it, you get trampled. You know? Get it. And then you had, all right, Titus, who was the son of Vespasian. You know, and Vespasian pretty much had conquered Galilee, and he was going to come to, Jerusalem, but he was appointed to Caesar. You know, you had the year of the four Caesars, all right, and Vespasian, all right, became the last emperor of the four emperors, all right, and that began with the Flavian dynasty. Okay, when you had Titus, his son, you know, who was pretty much a commander, all right, over legions, and we left Titus, all right, in control, okay, of taking down Jerusalem. Okay. Now, when you go here, Daniel, all right, 7:7, it's a brother Bayon Yashala said, Daniel 7:7 says, and after this, I saw in the night vision, and behold, a fourth beast, all right, which is the Roman Empire, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, all right, and it had great iron teeth, it devoured and break in pieces, okay, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the other beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So this is what Jake, was going against, man. Okay, hey, Daniel 7:7, this beast that was strong exceedingly, okay, great iron teeth, man, and military, man. Okay, so we're gonna go into it. All right, we're gonna go into these events.
It will be a battle that will never be forgotten.
You know what I want.
In the dark of night, Titus brings up his soldiers from 3 directions to Jerusalem. As dawn breaks on the 14th of Nisan, the eve of Passover, the residents of Jerusalem awaken to a sight that makes their blood run cold. 60,000 Roman soldiers, thirsty for war, surrounded the city from every direction. Only now, when the Romans stand at the gates of the city, does the
Now it said they surrounded the city, from every direction. And Yahushua spoke of those things. Okay. When you get Luke chapter 19. All right. This is Luke 19. All right. And 40. Okay. This is Luke 19:40. And it says, I'll start at 41. It says, and when he was come near, and this is Yahushua. All right, Luke 19:41, it says, and when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it. Okay. Yahushua, wept over the city. All right, because he knew this was coming. This is what he was weeping about. Okay. It says, saying, if thou hast known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now are they hid from thine eyes. And this was about 40 years prior. For the day shall come upon thee that thy enemy shall cast a trench about thee and compass thee round and keep thee in on every side. And we're going to see this. But this is the beginning of it. Okay? And shall lay thee even with the ground and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. Okay? This is because you remember, a lot of Jake didn't believe. You see, but Yahushua was telling them what was to happen. He spoke of 70 AD, he prophesied of it, and it's going to happen again on a much larger scale in this time. Okay? So they would surround the city on every side. Okay? and they was keeping Jake in.
The tragedy caused by the civil war raging in the city become clear. In clashes between the various factions, whole sections of Jerusalem were destroyed. Stores of food that could have provided vital provisions during the fighting and siege went up in flames and vanished. Too late, the rebels joined forces against the true enemy. What they lack in weaponry and soldiers will be reinforced by acts of bravery and unrestrained daring. The Jews take the initiative and respond quickly. They attack ferociously before the Romans take up positions. The surprised Romans scatter in all directions. Titus himself escapes by the skin of his teeth. Before the Romans manage to recover, the Jews retreat behind the mighty defenses of the walls of Jerusalem. These walls are Titus' main problem. Jerusalem is built on a hill and surrounded by 3 fortified walls, each stronger than the other. To breach such a wall, Titus must raise huge earthen ramps and bring up siege towers and battering rams to reach it. In excavations conducted in Jerusalem, in the Russian compound, remains of the third wall have been found. It is the outer wall of the ancient city. We have here testimony to the battle. We found more than 70 catapult stones right here at the front of the wall, so that we know a battle took place here. The number and density of the catapult stones and their locations are basically the testimony that there was a battle here during the Roman period, dated according to the potsherds. The evidence enabled us to conclude that we are dealing with a section of the third wall through which the Romans penetrated Jerusalem. With these huge catapult stones, Titus' soldiers bombarded the Jewish defenders, thus ensuring that they would not disturb the builds of the ramping. Each of these stones weighs about 26 kilograms and flew at a speed of tens of kilometers per hour. When a stone like this crashed into the wall, it was better not to be there. Under heavy artillery cover, the iron rams climbed to the top of the wall and pierced it. The noise is deafening. The largest battering ram of all, nicknamed Nikon, the victor, was the first to breach the wall. The Roman soldiers burst into Beit Zeta neighborhood. They slaughter the residents without mercy and set the entire neighborhood on fire. Within a few days, the second wall also falls. The Jewish defenses begin to disintegrate. Titus renews the attack and advances his soldiers to the internal wall, the strongest wall of Jerusalem, known as the First Wall. He concentrates most of his efforts here at the Antonia Fortress. The Antonia is the largest, strongest fortress in Jerusalem. It was built by Herod to the north of the Temple Mount in order to control the temple. Titus' plan was well thought out. The moment the Antonia falls, the temple will fall. And when the temple falls, the Jews will lose all hope and Jerusalem will finally fall into his hands. But nothing prepared him for what happens next. In a daring action, the soldiers of John of Giscala succeed in digging a tunnel under the earthen ramp opposite the Antonia, setting fire to its foundations and toppling it together with the soldiers to the ground. At the same time, Simon Bar Giora attacks the ramp opposite the first wall and sets it on fire. Hundreds of Roman soldiers are killed and wounded. All at once, the Roman attack is halted and the entire Roman army is driven out of the city. Stunned by the failure,
Walmart makes holiday cooking a breeze for me because I won't have to pay any more this year than I did last year.
Titus gathers his commanders urgently and decides to change tactics. If it is not possible to break into the city, He will surround it from without and starve the Jews to death. In a record time of only
So you can see they call hell with Jake, man. Jake had, inferior weaponry, way less people, But when the scriptures say one should be stronger than the other, okay, as you can see, Jake has a stronger mind, Jake has a stronger will, okay, Jake is extremely smarter, okay. But according to prophecy, we had to fall. We're going to go into that prophecy. And it's all according, to the timing of Yahweh Bashim Shai. Okay? It was prophecy that we failed, but they called hell with Jake. That's why when they finally got in, all right, they just burned everything. They just slaughtered, all right, and pretty much it's gonna show, but they just go all in on Jake. But they call hell. Okay, now this was the zealots and the real Sakar. Okay, not this little play Sakar that we see today. Now this was the real Sakar. They were some wicked niggas. Okay, but they was about that action. All right, they wasn't just posting pictures on social media. They was really about their life. Okay, and the Romans, all right, call hell. So we're gonna let it play. All right. And like the brother Beyond Yasha said, brother, happy life. It probably best just take notes, bro. You ain't gotta be in a rush, to speak, take notes, listen, learn, be built up. We all went through the same process, brother. So just take heed, and just keep, being edified. Yeah, let's get back to it.
only 3 days, Titus builds a giant siege wall around Jerusalem, a choke ring 7 kilometers long that effectively blocks off all supply lines. Now, starvation sets in to cruelly afflict the city. Affluent people scour the gutters to find scraps of food, and small children whose parents have starved to death wander the streets in search of a piece of bread. The tension in the city grows. Those who are left with a little food eat in secret. Others try to evade the zealots and escape from the city. Most of those who try to flee are caught by the Romans and crucified on wooden beams around the city walls. Fatigue and starvation weaken the Jewish fighters. This is Titus' chance to deal the crushing blow to Jerusalem. The Roman army is concentrated on one task: to conquer Antonia Fortress and break through to the temple. The Jews tried to prevent the capture of the Temple Mount and sabotage the building of the ramps. They shot flaming arrows, threw giant stones, and poured boiling oil on the head of the Roman soldiers. In the Temple Mount sifting project, iron arrowheads were found. These arrowheads were used for catapult fire. Catapults are machines for shooting arrows, and they bombarded the walls with such force that even the bravest of the Jewish fighters could not withstand. After fierce battles, Titus soldiers gained control of the Antonia. On the 17th of Tammuz, Titus commands them to destroy the mighty citadel down to its foundations. This day, on which according to tradition the city was breached, is commemorated as a day of mourning on the Jewish calendar. The temple service ceased completely, and during the following 3 weeks, the days between the straits, the Jews would struggle in bloody face-to-face battles in the courtyards of God's temple. The battering rams breached the western walls of the Temple Mount. Ladders are leaned against the remains of the wall, and the Roman soldiers stream in mass into the temple courtyard. It seems that the campaign is drawing to a close, but what happens next is totally inconceivable. When the Jews realize that the temple is in real danger, they shake off all feelings of hunger and weakness. Thousands of citizens, women, men, elders, and youth, everyone who can hold a weapon, join the fighters. Together as one man, they fall upon the Romans and block the way to the temple with their bodies. Only one weapon can beat the fire of faith that burns in the hearts of the Jewish fighters: the burning fire of torches. And thus, on the night of the 9th of Av, Titus sets fire to the gates that surround the Temple Mount. On their way to the temple, the Romans burst through, killing, stabbing, and trampling everyone in their path. The blood flows on the colorful stone floors of the Temple Mount as bodies of the slain pile high. The flames quickly spread and approach the entrance to the temple. A moment before it goes up in flames, Titus gathers his commanders for a final consultation to determine the fate of the temple. Josephus claims that Titus opposed destroying the temple, which in his eyes was the glory of human creation. According to Josephus, the fire was caused by accident by a Roman soldier who inadvertently tossed a burning torch into the sanctuary. But most scholars do not believe this is really true. The anger over the many casualties caused by the Jews and the understanding that as long as the temple stood, the Jews would continue to fight, decided the temple's fate. Let them see and fear. On the 9th of Av, towards evening, Titus gave the order, and the following day, the 10th of Av, his soldiers set fire to the sanctuary. The temple that had been the source of inspiration, faith, ethics, and righteousness for the Jewish people and all humanity for centuries now went up in flames. The cries of pain of the Jews rose up to the heavens. Titus commands the burning of the lower city. In the upper city, the rebels continue to fight stubbornly for another month until the Romans take control of it too and set it ablaze. The charred remains of fire and destruction discovered by Professor Nachman Avigaad in what was once an opulent neighborhood tell the story of the complete destruction of Jerusalem. Chilling testimony to the last moments of the city is found here, between layers of ruins and ashes. The severed arm of a young woman with a spear alongside it. It appears that she too was unable to escape to the rebels' final refuge, the underground drainage channel. We're inside the drainage channel, where the rebels hid 2,000 years ago. The last of the Jerusalem residents hid in this tunnel, here where we stand. Suffocating darkness and terrible fear surrounded them. The Romans searched for them, found them, broke through the ceiling of the tunnel, and killed everyone. Among the finds discovered here that testify to the horror was this Roman sword, the Roman gladius, found on the tunnel floor. Nearby were cooking pots, clay lamps, and coins of the revolt, with the Hebrew words, Herut Zion, freedom for Zion, 2 words that expressed the heartfelt aspiration of the Jews who hid and were killed here in the drainage channel in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago. It is possible that the death of these people in the depths of the ground was preferable to the horrors suffered by their brethren who were taken captive. The prisoners were sold into lifelong slavery or died in blood sport, fighting against wild animals and gladiators. In pain, shock, and sorrow, the Jewish prisoners are marched through the streets of Rome. And before them go the spoils of war from Jerusalem, the golden menorah, and the holy vessels of the temple. Rome celebrates its victory with a parade, with huge monuments and a special coin that glorifies and commemorates the suppression of Judea. Jerusalem, weeping and mourning, descends under layers of ash and destruction. After 5 years of persistent struggle against the strongest empire in the world, the Second Temple is destroyed.
So there you have it, and there was the battles, that took place, before eventually, Jerusalem completely fell and was burnt, and Yahushua prophesied those things, but as we read earlier, which we'll get it again, so I'll get into some precepts, and just link it all up, we'll link it up in the spirit. And Yahushua talked about these things heavily, so when you go here, and Esau wanted to get to that temple, and Esau was always there at the destruction of our temple because he wants to completely cut us off from Yahweh Shem Shai, and this time he wants to get in us, because we're the temple now, but let's just go to it again, all right. Thank you. It'd do good to read this again in the book of Luke, it's the book of Luke, the 19th chapter. All right, starting at verse 41 again. All right, this is the book of Luke, chapter 19. Verse 41, it says, and when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it. And then he being Yahushua, saying, if thou hadst known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now they are hid from thy eyes. See, you gotta remember, Yahushua is seeing this happening. He can see this happening. It's a vision. He knows the depths and the details and the gore and the crucifixions and the starvations and the women and children forced to fight, to try to defend the temple and just being massacred. He's seeing all these things. So you can imagine he was overwhelmed. He wept, because this still is his people. You see? Yeah, Yahushua is a nationalist. There could be a lesson for one of you brothers, man. Yahushua was a nationalist. We can put that definition on the comment board. It says, for the day shall come upon thee that thy enemy shall cast a trench about thee and compass thee round and keep thee in on every side. And that happened. And shall lay thee even with the ground. And we seen that when, those men, women, and children was trying to defend the temple, the Roman legions laid them even with the ground. All right. It says, and thy children within thee, you had children taking up arms to try to fight. But that's just the zeal that Jake had. And see, that's why a lot of these empires, they would kind of let Jake just be. Because Jake had so much zeal, like, shit, we ain't got time to be playing with them, man. Let them folk do they sacrifice. Because Jake could be good. Like if Jake was just left alone to keep the daily sacrifice and to keep the customs of their fathers, they would pretty much be good. You wouldn't get a lot of kickback, but every time the heathen would go to try to prevent us from keeping our custom, keeping our law, that's when it would be a major revolt, man. Going back even to the Maccabees. So this is why you have some empire like the Persians, even under Alexander the Greek, the Ptolemies, they was pretty much cool with Jake doing their thing, but a lot of empires would be like, it ain't worth it. They said them folk cut up by their temple, man. Leave them folks alone, man. But it was prophesied that this would happen, so it had to happen. And it says, and shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave thee, and they shall not leave indeed one stone upon another, because thou knowest not the time of thy visitation, man. Okay, and these things were sparked off by the Sakari and them zealots. All right, pretty much, taking up arms against those legions, revolting against the taxes. Okay, and that was pretty much the act of war to lead up to 70 AD. Okay, now when you go from there, okay, it's all prophetic and it's all according to the Lord's time. Even when you go to Matthew, let's just get Matthew 21 or Matthew 24. So like, it's Matthew 24 and 1. Okay. Matthew 24 and 1 says, and Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings, okay, of the temple. And Yahushua said unto them, so they're showing Yahushua the temple, pretty much doing like a tour, okay. And Yahushua in his mind, he like, look, verse 2 says, and Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, verily means to truly, okay, I say unto you that there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And we just seen when it happened. Okay. We just seen when it happened, man. Okay. And he's going into the end because pretty much Matthew chapter 24, sometimes it's speaking of 70 AD and sometimes it's speaking of the end. All right, dealing with this time the rumors of wars, okay, the pestilence, all right, and then then you have time when it's speaking of both. Okay, you got to decipher between the two, and understanding their history, helps us, decipher. Okay, in the spirit. Now I want to jump down to verse 15. It says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. So Yahushua is referring to a prophecy in the book of Daniel. All right, the abomination of desolation, which is speaking of this time here. Okay, and it's going to give you pretty much a timeline. Okay, and Apostle Hart, it was spirit, he broke this down. The brother Baquar Moth, had asked him about it. And Apostle Hart broke it down. This is Revelation 12 and 11. And it says, and from that time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away. Why? Because the temple was destroyed. Okay, the daily sacrifice was taken away. All right, during 70 AD. And the abomination that make desolation set up, there shall be 1,290 days, and that represents 3.5 years. Okay, because the what they call the Jewish Roman wars, which they were Israelites, right? Them Jakes, what they call it, historians call it the Jewish, Roman wars. Okay, but it started under Nero. Okay, pretty much Nero burnt Rome, blamed it on the Jews, all right, or what he called the Christians, the believers in Yahushua. Okay, and it pretty much started, all right, a high tension. It was already tension because of the high taxes, all right. So they pretty much sparked off, those what they call Jewish Roman wars, but the conflict between Jake and the Romans. And that was in 66, okay, AD. So you fast forward to 70 AD, okay, when you go into the months, it's this time period here from Nero to the beginning of the Jewish Roman wars until 70 AD was like 3.5 years. Okay, that's the midway point. All right. And then when you go to verse 12, it said, blessed is he that waited and come into the 1,305 and 30 days, which is another 3.5 years. Okay. When Masada, okay, the last stronghold that Jake had and Masada was taken down. You see? So that's why, it was so hard to conquer Jake, over those years from the beginning of the revolt, because the timeline had to play out according to prophecy. So Jake, Moses put the spirit on Jake to be resilient, okay, to be very ingenuitive, when it came to war strategy, okay, until that time, 70 AD, when it was time for Jake, okay, to fall, okay. You see? But then you read verse 13, but go thy way till the end be. This not the end of this conflict. Okay, for thou shalt rest, which is, Daniel's gonna go in the spirit world and stand in thy lot at the end of days. And see, this is representative of all the prophets. Okay, because we've died and come back, and now we're back, all right, in our lot, all right, in the last days, man. You see, after all these events have taken place, the transatlantic slave trade and all these things have taken place, now, all right, we're back. The prophets are back in their lot, okay, for the grand finale, man. Their final clash between Jacob and Esau, okay. Now, when you go here, Yahushua spoke about what would happen, after, Jerusalem will fall, okay. And yep, hey brother got that word nationalist for me. Okay, Mr. Brother Yaqua, hopeful leg 3, Shalom Makia. All right, this says a nationalist. It says a person who strongly identifies with their own nation and vigorously supports its interests, especially, all right, to the exclusion or detriment of the interests of other nations. And Yahushua was a nationalist, man. Okay, his interests were in Israel. Okay, he strongly identifies with his own nation. He came to die for his own nation. Okay, and what's going to happen? All right, when he comes back to wage war in righteousness, okay, and set up an exclusive kingdom for the nation of Israel, it's going to be to the detriment of you other nations, man. You're going in captivity. So Yahushua is a nationalist, man, by definition. And there's plenty of precepts, all right, that we can go into, man. Well, that's another topic. We might catch that on the back end, man. Okay. We're going back into it. When you go to the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25, it says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon earth, the distress of also like it. I jumped. It's 24. Speaking of these times. Okay, yep. Luke 21 and 24, it says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword. And we just seen that. The sword of who? The Romans. Okay. And they shall be led away captive into all nations. Because they was led away captive. Okay. And within the Roman Empire, they were dispersed throughout the Roman Empire. Our people was made sports for, gladiatorial games. Okay. It says, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, okay, those Edomites, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, okay? And we're in the time where the time of the Gentiles, all right, are being fulfilled. So Yahushua encapsulated a lot of history in this one, all right, precept, okay? 70 AD, led away captive, okay, into all nations, which goes from 70 AD all the way to the transatlantic, all right, slave trade, okay, there was a continuation of us being led away captives, okay. It says, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, okay, these actual heathens, okay, and that time of them being in our land is coming to a fulfillment. That's why war is being prepped. Okay. And even when you go here, Let's get Ezekiel. All right, 36. And pretty much Ezekiel, was told to prophesy into the land of Israel, okay, which is being occupied by heathen, man. Okay. This is the book of Ezekiel 36:4. It says, therefore, ye mountains of Israel, okay, speaking to the land, hear the word of the Lord power. Thus said the Lord to the mountains, okay, and to the hills. Matter of fact, I'll start at 1. This is Ezekiel 36:1. It says, also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord. Thus said the Lord power, because the enemy have said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Okay? And that's what's happened. You had it during this time, 70 AD, but then really you go 1948, man. Okay? When they really just set up shop in our land and started to dwell there as if they was us. That's him wanting their birthright, man. Going back to the origin of the conflict. It said, therefore, prophesy and say, thus said the Lord, because they have made you desolate, okay, 70 AD, you see, and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and you are taken up in the lips of talker, and are the infamy of the people. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord. Thus said the Lord power, to the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate waste, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and a derision, all right, to the residue of the heathen that are round about thee. Therefore, thus said the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, to cast it out as a prey. And that's what they done. Okay, when you go to 1948, and they're in their land, they just celebrating and rejoicing as if they're the real people, man. They're the chosen people. Okay. It said, all Idumea, that's Edom. Those are Edomites, man. That's in their land. Okay. Not Israelites. Those are Edomites, man. Okay. And it was prophesied to be there, so they're fulfilling prophecy, man. And we were scattered. We're in captivity, scattered while they're in our land. Because when you go back, let's get this, and we'll go down. We finish reading Ezekiel 36. Okay. But when you go here, when Yahushua spoke about the abomination to make it desolate, okay, he gave instructions on what what our people should do. So when you go back here to Matthew 24 and 15, it says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Okay. And those mountains that is speaking of is mainly the Atlas Mountains. Okay, which is in northern Africa. Okay. Which you had to pretty much coming from Israel, you will have to go through those mountains to get into Africa. Okay. Let's see. See, we can show it. Let's get it here. Just to share it real quick. So the Atlas Mountains, okay, when you go into it, all right, it says what is special about the Atlas Mountain. It says known among the locals as Adrian. The high Atlas Mountains are North Africa's highest mountain range. They run across Morocco for about 1,000 kilometers and separate the mid-Atlantic and Mediterranean coastlines from the harsh Sahara Desert right in the south. Okay, so the Atlas Mountains you have to go through. Let's see. Okay. It says separates the Sahara Desert from the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. The name Atlantic is derived from the mountain range. So the Atlantic Ocean is derived off the Atlas Mountains, you know? Okay. And even when you go into, well, this is another rabbit hole of history. All right. It said the Atlas Mountains are primarily inhabited by Berber, all right, populations. Now, when you know about the Berber, okay, those were Jakes, all right. And what you had when you had those Islamic caliphates, all right, when they started to invade um Spain and Portugal, okay, they utilized those Berber, all right, pretty much mercenaries to help fight. And that's where you get the Moors from. The Moors came from the Berber people of Northern Africa, all right, which were Jakes. You see? But how did they get it? By fleeing, okay, by fleeing Roman persecution. You see? So let's see if if we can get the correlation. This is what Jake made their way from Jerusalem, okay, going across Egypt, Libya, okay, and eventually Jake ended up in what you call the slave coast, right here in the so most of Jake settled. Okay, Sierra Leone, all right, is known as the slave coast. Okay, Lagos, Nigeria. Okay, Ghana. You see, that's what those brothers Bakwar Moth, his brothers. All right, from Ghana. Okay, Guinea. You see, and those Atlas Mountains. All right, are up here. Okay. Well, Jake traveled through all these lands, fleeing Roman persecution. Okay. Um, so let's go back to it. All right. And this all goes to how we end up where we are today, man. You see, you gotta understand that timepiece in history, all right, dealing with those Atlas Mountains, man. Dealing with fleeing Jerusalem. Now let's go back to Matthew. Finish that. Then we go back to Ezekiel. Okay. right. So when you read on back in Matthew 24:16, said, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. So they were like, look, Yahushua was like, when you see these troops coming, when you see these legions coming to Jerusalem, leave. Don't even go back into the city. Just leave. Okay, he was putting Jake on game because he knew what was about to go down. They said, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes, and woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Okay? Because it was gonna get, hey, it's gonna get bad. It got bad. Okay, but that's how we ended up, okay, in the land of Africa. That's how the Jake population, okay, really, because we was already, in Egypt, Alexander Jews, okay. But then you had the increase of the volume of Israelites after 70 AD going into Africa, man. Okay, which began to populate. All right, in Africa, Jake began to populate in Africa, man. And that's how we ended up here, man. You see, we was allowed to, pretty much chill in Africa, populate, grow, just for come to captivity, man. And Most High has all these prophecies linked together, man. Everything is playing out for his purpose. Okay. So now when you go to Ezekiel 37, he's pretty much telling the land, okay, that he's going to rid that land, all right, of those heathens that occupy our land now. All right, as we're scattered. Okay. We finna go back home. You see? Like when we say going home, this ain't just no saying, like that's our home. Okay. And we was put out. You see? This is back in Ezekiel 36. So back in Ezekiel 36, and I started at 5. It said, therefore, thus said the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumean. And this is going to be in the Third World War. Okay? Because that land, the land of Israel is going to be cleansed through war, man. Okay? Missiles going to hit that place, man. Okay? It's going to be cleansed for the rebuilding for our kingdom, man. Because right now it's filth over there, has to be purged through fire. Okay? And those Iranians got all the smoke, all right, to fulfill this prophecy, man. Okay? It said, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains and to the hills, to the rivers and to the valleys, thus said the Lord power, behold, I have spoken in the jealousy and in my fire. And see, that's World War III is going to be the Lord speaking in his jealousy. Okay, he's jealous of his people in captivity and the people that are pretending to be us. All right, in the land, he's going to speak in his fury. It's going to be through fire. It says, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. Okay, and our land is bearing the shame of the heathen. That's why even our land is mourning, man. Okay, is in the low condition, man. All right, the land of Israel is in a saddened condition, man. Okay, it said, therefore, thus said the Lord power, I have lifted up my hand. Surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. But ye, O mountains of Israel, ye shall shoot forth your branches and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come. So that earth is going to be cleansed. All right, our land is going to be cleansed through fire. It's going to be purged. And see, that land is going to become extremely fruitful. Okay, the land flowing with milk and honey, which means just abundance and resources. And that land is going to be abundance and resources, and it's going to be ours, man. And we're going to rule the earth out of Jerusalem. Okay, it said, but ye, O mountains of Israel, ye shall shoot forth your branches, okay, and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, the true people, for they are at hand to come. Okay, we're at hand to come. And see, the Lord's going to put us in authority where these heathens are going to rebuild our kingdom, man. The same kingdom that they burnt down and ran us out of, they're going to build with their bare hands, man. Okay? Straight manual labor. And Jerusalem gonna be built of what? Precious stones. The brother can put that up. It said, "For behold, I am for you, and will turn unto you, and ye shall be tilled and sown." Now we're coming into the Lord's favor, and He's finna establish us in that land again. He's finna establish us in Jerusalem. Okay, it says, "And will multiply men upon you, all the house of Israel, even all of it, and the city shall be inhabited, and the waste shall be builded." Okay, because right now that land is a waste. It's a dump with those heathens in it, man. But we're going to be allowed to rebuild. Okay, we're going to be actually allowed to rebuild our home, through the labor of the heathens. "And I will multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit. And I will settle you after your old estates, and will do better unto you than at your beginnings, and ye shall know that I am the Lord." Okay? So that we're going to be reestablished in that land eternally, man. And the Lord's going to do us better than He has ever done before. Okay? It's going to outdo the era of Solomon, man. All right? Which that was a very extremely prosperous time, man. That can't even be calculated. Okay? For our people, man. You see? Let's go here. Let's get this in Baruch. Okay? Jacob versus Esau, and Jacob wins. Okay, through Yahweh Shai. That's why we had the victory. Because remember, one of those battering rams, all right, that they used to bust through, all right, the walls of Jerusalem was called Nikon, which means victory in the Greek. That's where you get the brand Nike from. Okay, going back to the Greeks, you see, well, we have the victory in Yahweh Shai. Okay, let's get that in Baruch. Yeah, we'll get that in Baruch. The 4th chapter. And it goes into the land again, and we'll jump around. So let's get the book of Baruch, 4th chapter. All right, let's start at 6. Okay, well, I started at 4. Just Baruch 4 and 4. It says, "O Israel, happy are we, for the things that are pleasing to our power are made known unto us." And that's why the prophet was raised up to give instruction, okay, in righteousness, man. The things, we have been taught in ways that are pleasing to our power, okay? And happy are we. It said, "Be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel." All right, with Zion, or to Zion in the Hebrew, okay, which means memorial. Okay, remember the coins that they found, in those underground tunnels. Okay, it went to what? Liberty. All right, for Zion. Okay, and we're about to be liberated. The memorial. All right, the elect represents the memorial of the Heavenly Father. Okay, we're like a memory unto the promises that He made to our forefathers, man. Okay, He put the Spirit on the elect, and it pretty much has put him in the Lord. Put Himself in remembrance of what He promised our forefathers, man, and it's going to be fulfilled. You see, verse 6 said, "You were sold to the nations not for your destruction, but because ye moved the Most High to wrath, you were delivered unto the enemies." Okay, so our disobedience caused those things to befall us, man. All the atrocities and massacres and captivity was due to our disobedience. It said, "For ye provoked Him that made you by sacrificing unto devils and not to the Most High. You have forgotten the everlasting power that brought you up, and you have grieved Jerusalem and the land that nursed you. For when she saw the wrath of the Most High coming upon you, she said, hearken, O ye that dwell in Zion. You know, so it was like the land was begging us to do right. Okay, showing the land has a spirit. The Most High have brought upon me great mourning. Our land is in mourning. For I saw the captivity of my sons and daughters, because the land is like unto a mother. And what does a mother do? It nourishes. Okay? It nourishes. Okay? Jerusalem, which is above all right, is the mother of us all, man. You see? In the book of Galatians, it said, for I saw the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting brought upon them. With joy did I nourish them, but sent them away with weeping and mourning. Okay? It was sent away with weeping and mourning, man. Because they had parades, like, matter of fact, let's get that, you know. Let's get it. I want to get that. There's another video, because this one here is pretty much it's going to go into, you know, the parades, you know, they had. All right, after. So I'm gonna play this, and it's gonna go into pretty much the parade. All right, the procession they had, you know, celebrating the victory of taking us down. These Edomites, man. Okay, and you know, Esau got the characters as, you know, in his depiction of everybody, Edomite, he's every goddamn body. Okay, but we know this was us, man. All right, so we're gonna go into the parade, and pretty much it's gonna, you know, give a visual of what we're reading in Baruch. You know.
Titus's conquest of Jerusalem in the year 70 CE was considered a tremendous achievement by the Romans. His suppression of the long rebellion in Judea proved once again that the Roman Empire was the strongest power in the world. On the Temple Mount, the Roman army cheers its venerated commander, Titus. While Jerusalem goes up in flames, Titus quickly prepares the exhibits for the victory parade in Rome. For this purpose, he gathers many valuable objects and prisoners of war. But the celebrations begin even before they arrive. Here in Caesarea, in Beirut, in Agrippa's kingdom in the north, there are drunken parties. To entertain the crowds, thousands of Jews are thrown to beasts of prey and into combat against bloodthirsty gladiators. When Titus finally anchors in Rome, the Romans flock to greet him. The most magnificent victory parade in the empire's history gets underway. The parade begins with a colossal display of strength by the Roman legions. The Roman gods lead the way, followed by a vast stream of spoils of war, silver and gold vessels, ivory, works of art, and animals. Titus brought so much silver and gold in spoils from Jerusalem that their price dropped throughout the empire. Vespasian would use some of the captured treasure to build the Colosseum, the most magnificent Roman amphitheater in the world. The crowd is amazed at the vast amount of plunder, but the climax arrives when the holy temple vessels are paraded before the masses, including the golden menorah. Behind them, like a prisoner of war, is carried the representative of the Jewish faith, a single Torah scroll from Jerusalem.
In the rear are led the prisoners of war themselves. Defeated and disgraced, the POWs from Israel march through the streets of Rome. Their war wounds are well concealed by the embroidered silk garments they're dressed in by the Romans. But nothing can take away the searing pain they bear in their hearts. The crowds cheer Vespasian and Titus as the victory parade makes its way here to the Capitoline Hill. Here, at the temple of Jupiter Capitolinus, the parade stops, and a hush falls on the crowd. Simon Bar Giora, Jewish commander and spirited leader of the rebellion, is pulled from among the ranks of rebels. With a rope around his neck, he is dragged brutally through the streets of Rome as the wild throng beats him from all sides. The Romans immortalized the conquest of Jerusalem and this parade with a glorious monument situated in the heart of the empire's capital. Exactly where the victory parade passed, Domitian, Titus's brother, built a 15-meter-high gate in honor of the great victory. Depicted in the relief on the arch are Roman soldiers crowned with laurel wreaths as they carry the temple vessels, the silver trumpets, the showbread table, and in the center, the temple menorah, painted gold. No wonder the Jews of Rome despised the Arch of Titus. The monument, built 2,000 years ago, served as a painful reminder of the total destruction of Jerusalem and the humiliation of the Jewish people. The sight of the arch seared the Jews' hearts like fire.
So you see, the celebratory spirit that Esau was in. And he's always had that spirit when it comes to our downfall. Okay, as the brother put up, let's see. Oh, saying the brother had it. Yep. This the brother. Now this is the destruction of the first temple. All right. When this account is speaking of, all right, when Esau aided the Babylonians in the destruction of the temple. Okay. And then you had the second temple. He all right, was in charge of that destruction. It was him. Okay. There was this brother Yashima, my tribe of Judah, Psalms 137. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom. All right, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, race it, even to the foundation of thereof. All right, which is to destroy it completely, to eradicate. It says, O daughter of Babylon, okay, who art to be destroyed. So now it links Esau to Babylon. Happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us. Yeah, look what what these folks have done. We gonna get that lick back. Okay, we're gonna reward them as they have served us, man. We're gonna have parades dragging Edomites through the streets. Okay, getting beat as they go through the streets, man. Okay, the elites, they gonna get embarrassed, man. When they go in chains, they gonna be paraded through the streets. Okay, they gonna be humiliated, man. That's coming back. We're gonna get that lit back, man. You see? So let's go from there. All right, we coming in time. We finna get that lit back, man. A brother can post that in Jeremiah 30:16. Let's get that up there. Okay, we finna get true reparation. Jacob's excited about Esau, and Esau just throw stuff out there to keep you just occupied. Okay, Esau not finna give you niggas no $200,000 or $250,000. Okay, and even if he did, you niggas would just become bigger niggas, man. Okay, A crime rate will go up drastically. Adultery will go up drastically. Okay. Murder will go up drastically. And Esau will become richer after you get through buying his cars and clothes. And okay. The neighborhood will be more infested with drugs, man. You see? This the brother, Yashima tribe of Judah. It says, and they shall build the old ways. And this is speaking, hey, these same people that put us in captivity, they're going to build the old ways. They shall raise up the former desolation, because after World War III, this place, all right, Israel is going to be flattened. That land going to be flattened. It's going to be pretty much renovated, all right, for the okay, for the new tenants, all right, with the scripture, we're going to be lords over that land. And they shall repair the waste cities and desolation of many generations. And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks. Because remember, the Lord said he's going to increase our livestock, our vegetation, okay, the abundance, the fruitfulness of the land. Okay, so we're going to need slaves to work there. And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of the alien, these heathens, shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. So the Lord promised he was going to increase us, all right, in resources, and the earth was going to, he commanded the land of Israel to shoot forth his branches, okay, the abundance for, he says, shoot forth his abundance, because what? We are at hand to come. You see? So they're going into captivity, man. When you go to Jeremiah 30:16, his brother Bayan Yasa'ala said, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. That's what's going to do the building. And they for thee shall be a spoil. Okay, we will spoil. They took the gold. It said it's so much gold came from the temple that it lowered the price of gold in Rome. You see, so much gold from those vessels and from the temple, all right, came that it lowered the price of gold, all right, in Rome, man. Okay, because it increased the supply so much. Okay, it says, and all they that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. Okay, so we got a major lick to get back, man, on these damn devils, man. Okay, so let's go back here to Baruch, and we'll just read down. This is the book of Baruch, back in verse 4. All right. I started verse 10. It says, for I saw the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting brought upon them. With joy did I nourish them, but sent them away with weeping and mourning. Okay. It says, let no man rejoice over me, a widow and forsaken. And this is the land speaking. All right. And forsaken of many, who for the sins of my children am left desolate, because they departed from the law of the Most High. And Esau wants to keep us departed. Okay. But we've repented, we've returned, and it's through faith in Yahushua. It said they knew not his statutes, nor walked in the ways of his commandments, okay, nor tried in the paths of discipline in his righteousness. Let them that dwell about Zion come and remember ye the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting have brought upon them. For he brought a nation upon them from far, a shameless nation, and of a strange language, their Latin. All right, who neither reverence old man nor pity child. They have carried away the dear beloved children of the widow, and love her that was alone, desolate without daughters. But what can I help you? For he that brought these plagues upon you will deliver you from the hands of your enemies. You see? Go your way, oh my children, go your way, for I'm left desolate. And we was sent away. Okay, it says, I have put off the clothing of peace and put on me the sackcloth for my prayer. I will cry unto the everlasting in my days. So even that land is crying for us to come back, man. Okay, and that's why the Lord is preparing us in righteousness to be put back in that land. Okay, and we're going to come out those chariots all right, perfect with those new bodies, and the land is going to rejoice through what, man? Shooting forth that abundance. Okay, it says, be of good cheer, O my people, cry unto the Lord, and he shall deliver you from the power and hand of the enemies. And that's what we're doing now, real time. The remnant are in the spirit of crying unto the Lord, man, to get out of here, man. It said, for my hope is in the everlasting, that he will save you, and joy is come unto me from the Holy One, because of the mercy which soon, all right, because of the mercy which shall soon come unto you from the everlasting, all right, our Savior. For I sent you out with mourning and weeping, but the Most High will give you to me again with joy and gladness forever. Okay, like as now, okay, like as now the neighbors of Zion have seen your captivity, so shall they see shortly your salvation from my power. They're going to see us delivered. They're going to see the earth is going to witness the global deliverance of Israel. Okay, and then they're going to witness New Jerusalem coming down. Okay, so we went away. You see that parade where they laughed at us and mocked us and was beating us through the streets of Rome. Okay, and guess what? Those same spirits are going to see us delivered and put back in their land, and we coming back as immortal guys on the earth, man. Okay, and it's going to time to get active then when we come out those chariots, man. Everybody going to captivity when we come out the chariots. Every person on earth is going to go into captivity. Every heathen on the planet earth is going to captivity when we come out them chariots, man. Okay, it said, which shall come upon you with great glory and brightness of the everlasting. It says, my children, suffer patiently the wrath that is come upon you from the Most High, for thy enemy have persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shalt tread upon his neck. You see, my delicate ones have gone rough ways, all right, and mainly that's the transatlantic, man, that middle passage. Okay, you go into their history, that 2 to 3 month ride, and even the walk. Okay, just getting to those slave ports in Africa, man. Those 2 or 3 months walk, it will make Jake, especially, they want Jake to be in shape. So they will walk, they will walk the fat off Jake, man. Okay. That's why the ones that made it was lean, ripped, Hey, they went rough ways, man. We went rough ways. It says, and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemy, Esau, Edom. Again, the Portuguese, the Spanish, then eventually the British and French. Okay, those Edomites, man. It says, be of a good comfort, O my children, and cry to the Most High, for ye shall be remember of him that brought these things upon you. And us having this knowledge and understanding, this faith and this hope is the Lord showing his memories, us being raised up. That's the Lord remembering. It said, for as it were your mind to go astray from the Most High, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. For he that have brought these plagues upon you shall bring you everlasting joy again, all right, with your salvation. So we have an everlasting joy that's coming with this salvation, man. You see, JB asking why would God do this? But okay, there's another part to the story. Don't stop at just us going into captivity and us being downtrodden and in this lower state. That it happened because of disobedience, but then there's a continuation of the story. Okay, because we understand the why, and then we understand the what to come. You see, it said, take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee their name will comfort thee. Miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoiced at thy fall. And we just seen that they was having parties, big crazy parties and parades. Okay, now they finna be in misery, man. And you see the EU, they suffering. Okay, they getting the squeeze put on them to conform to the NWO, but them same everyday Edomites were in those crowds rejoicing at our fall, man. Them spirits is back for their judgment, man. Okay, it said, miserable are the cities which thy children serve. Miserable is she that received thy sons, for as she rejoiced at thy ruin. And we just seen that, an example of that. and was glad at thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. For fire shall come upon her from the everlasting, long to endure. Nukes, okay? Yahweh shall in the chariots, and she shall be inhabited to the devils for a great time. O Jerusalem, look about thee toward the east. Now it's speaking to the land. And behold, the joy that cometh unto thee from the Most High. Lo, thy sons come whom thou hast sent us away. They come gathered together from the east to the west by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the glory of the Most High, man. We going back home. Okay? We left there in shame and embarrassment, but we going home in glory, man. You know? Hey, the Wadi, how about Shema Shot? And this is the only thing that matters right now, man. Okay? Everything else is extremely secondary, other than getting the hell out of here and going home, man. Okay. So that was the point. I just wanted to touch on that. I thought it'd be informative, to go into that history, and what it what it did to us as a people, but what it's leading to, man. And that's the gospel, the good news. After all the things we went through, the gospel still has good news for us, man. So Lord will you brothers, okay, and you sisters were edified once again. We give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Kapadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great example towards younger brothers, and peace and blessing salutation to the whole elect. Shalom. All right. We on the way home, man.